Mic check, 1 2 1 2, mic check, 1 2 1 2. What is good? What is good? What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Of course, you know who I be, Good Doc, Dr. Mike TV. Back again, once again. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I often say that my live streams are poised to be instant classics in the making, but I'll be damned if this one ain't poised to be an instant classic in the making. Official time check, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at about 8:30 or so. We're a little early, but we'll say 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, which makes it about 7:30 Central, 5:30 for all my brethren repping the West Coast, and of course, 8:30 in the a.m. Philippine Standard Time. Wherever you guys are reporting in the world today, maraming salamat sa lahat, and thank you guys for joining the Good Doc on this live stream. If you happen to catch the live stream at a later date, I appreciate you choosing to lock in. All right. So I posted a short video roughly about 2 days ago, I want to say, right? I posted a short video just basically giving you just me only. This is me. I'm not saying that I speak for all men. I'm not saying that I speak for anybody other than myself, but I gave you guys what I and how I would describe and or define the differences between preferences and, basically being racist in reference to your dating choices and your dating options, right? So I opened up the video basically saying, if I choose to date a young lady that is not from the Western world, somebody non-Western, that is a preference, right? Every man who has a preference generally has a reason for why they have their preference. It could be your environment, could be where you've grown up. Like myself, I grew up pretty much as a military kid my entire life, so I did spend a lot of time traveling in foreign countries, Japan. I had a chance to see Korea. I had a chance to see the United Arab Emirates when my dad used to work there. And then, of course, you guys know that I spent a bulk of my adult life in the Philippines, right? So it could be based off of that, and it could be based off of the negative experiences that one has had dealing with women who come from their particular backgrounds, right? So basically, we could say that preferences are based on internal and external factors, right? External being the environment you grow up in, internal being just how you personally feel and who you feel you relate the most to. Living in the Philippines for as long as I did, I would say that I do consider myself somebody that relates well to Filipinos. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. Okay. But when I said that if I prefer not to date a woman in the West, that is a preference. That is something where I literally tell myself, you know what, man, I've tried, didn't work out, it failed, and I've tried again, didn't necessarily work out. So maybe it's just in my better interest to see what other experiences the world has to offer. And when you have a passport, ladies and gentlemen, you hear all of the brethren who are part of the passport community, they preach it to their blue in the face. Got to get that blue book. Become a blue book gentleman, get your passport gang up, whatever it is, right? So for me, I would say that dating women that are foreign is a preference, right? I would also say that if I chose to specifically date only Asian women, not saying that that is what it is, but as you guys know, my wife is Asian. But if I did tell you guys that I specifically choose to date Asian women and Asian women only, ladies and gentlemen, that is still a preference. That is what I prefer. That is what I like. Now, when I get to this part in the video clip, I want you to understand where I'm trying to go with this so that everybody can pick up what the Good Doc is putting down. If you haven't already dropped your like, guys, make sure you drop your like, all right? But when I got to the point of the video where I said, if you start to basically list negative stereotypical things about why you dislike a particular race of women, then I think you might be floating borderline on a racist undertone. Now, when I give you this example, ladies and gentlemen, I do not want anybody to take it to heart. This is just an example. Let's say, for example, the young ladies that represent my culture, African-American, Black culture, right? If you say, I choose not to date African-American or Black women because they're ratchet, I choose not to date them because they're just trying to be baby mamas and they're trying to steal your money. Now you're starting to list stereotypical things that are not necessarily specific for each individual young lady representative of that group. You're pretty much doing a generalization. And I kind of feel like when you do generalize a specific group of young ladies, then you can kind of say, yo, you kind of being racist towards your decision making on why you're choosing to not date a particular group of people. If you say, well, I dated this group of women before, and it's only one woman that you've ever dated from that particular culture, and you allow that one particular woman to represent the entire fucking culture in your mind, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I would still say that that doesn't necessarily mean that you have a preference, but you're kind of listing one or two reasons why you hate an entire culture based off of what one young lady did. And I want y'all to understand, even if I prefer to date women that are Asian, ladies and gentlemen, there are some fucked up Asian women. There are some bad ones out there. Even if I tell you I would only date white women, do you not think white women are crazy too? If I tell you that I only choose to date my own, you shouldn't have anything to say about it because you're supposed to want to date your own, right? But if I say that and you say, oh, why would you want to date these women because of this, that, X, Y, and Z, you're kind of giving me a stereotypical borderline prejudice racial description of the reasons why you choose not to date a particular type of young lady. Now, for all of you guys who did catch the video short, I appreciate you guys watching it. For all of you guys who commented and dropped a like on that particular video, I appreciate you 100%. I did not get a chance to read all of the comments, but as the comments were coming up, I did actually scroll through and I did get a chance to read some of them. Now, this is what I do want to say. Let me say this and then I'm going to flip it so that you guys can understand it. If my young lady, and I made a video about this, I did, and you guys can go back in the archives and find it. I forgot what I named it, but I probably did name it, title it the way that I'm about to say it. If you guys haven't dropped your like, make sure you drop your like. I said that if my young lady came to me, or if my young lady was like, yo, I only date black men, that's it, I would be super suspect. Like, I'd be super suspicious of that. If my young lady said, I only date black guys, I'd probably look at her funny, because at that point, any guy who's ever made this statement or comment will tell you that she's not dating you because she actually likes you. She probably dating you because you remind her of a group of individuals that she actually likes, right? So I made the joke in the video. I was like, yeah, if my girl says that she likes Denzel Washington and Michael B. Jordan and all of that shit, and that's the only types of guys that she likes, you know, I'm kind of like, well, damn. So you just have a thing, a T-H-I-N-G, a thing for black guys. That's not what I want in my life, right? Now, let me integrate it into this comment right here, this conversation here. If you specifically say, I only date Asian women because I like the girl who was in fucking Charlie's Angels, what's her name? Lucy Liu, or some shit like that. I'm just giving an example. If you come up and say, yo, man, I date Asian women only because I'm attracted to Lucy Liu, and Lucy Liu in your mind is the representative of all Asian women, or that's the reason why you started liking Asian women in the first place. Could that be preference? Yes. But does that still make it somewhat suspicious as to the reason why you're dating Asian women in general, or why your specific choice is Asian and Asian only? To an extent. I wouldn't say that's, I would say technically that could be stereotypical to an extent, and it is generalized because you think that all Asian women are going to look and or act like an actress who was paid to look and act a certain way to be like that in real life. No different than when you see a lot of these young ladies talking about the types of celebrity men that they like, and they have an expectation that these guys are going to act like that in real life. I think if you guys were with me when we had the conversation about the women in the Western, more specifically the white girls that were traveling to Korea and trying to date these Korean guys, they're basically dating these Korean guys based off of the narrative, or, you know, the way that they are portrayed on TV or in TV shows or like Netflix shows and shit like that. They were basically going over there to this country to try to date these guys because of what they saw on the TV show. Now, we all know that's not representative of something being realistic, right? Even as a passport brother, I'll tell you till I'm blue in the face, blue book gentlemen, stand up, that all these women in Asia are not the greatest, man. I've dealt with some pretty fucked up ones, and I'm pretty sure if you've been in the country long enough, you probably had your fair share of bad ones as well, right? So we can't sit there and generalize and make statements that all women in Asia are going to be the best. All women in Asia are going to be better than women in the West, right? Better than Western women. We can't have that conversation, nor can we make those statements, because factually that will be inaccurate. Now, what we could say is that if you wanted to choose between women in the West and women in these foreign countries, in Asia and Eastern, in the East, whatever, if you wanted to say, I believe that these women are probably likely to treat you a little bit better, be respectful, not necessarily treat you like a king, but give you the respect that and honor that you fucking deserve. If I was going to say that you're likely going to find that in women in the Asia rather than women in the West, or dealing with Latino women rather than dealing with women in the West, a lot of us in the chat right now will say, you know what, Doc, I drop a 1 in the chat for that one because I know that to be accurate. If you chose 9 times out of 10, chances are the woman that is foreign is likely to treat you a little bit better than the woman that is local to us being the Western world. So you see, when it comes to having preferences, please don't be mad at us guys for having a preference for the type of women that we like, right? And shout out to my brothers in the chat, Mr. Diaz. You say to me, he said, don't do it, Doc. He said, in a woman's eyes, only they can have preferences. If our preference doesn't align with theirs, we're everything in the book but a man. 100%. I saw a skit the other day. I'm going to try to find it and I'm going to try to post it, right? I'm going to try to find it and post it if I can and do a quick stitch of it, a quick reaction to it. But in the particular video, it's a comedy sketch. You can tell it's a comedy sketch. But basically what happened in the sketch was it was showing different perspectives. When a guy walks up to a girl that they meet up on the street, and then when a woman walks up to a man that they like on the street. They started out with the woman, right? The woman comes up to the man and she's saying, oh, I think you fine. You this, that, and the other. I like you. Give me your number. Grabbing up on him, touching up on him and all of that shit, right? And, the guy was like, I got a girlfriend. I'm good. I got a girlfriend and shit. And then she started to get aggressive. She started to get angry. Like, yo, why the fuck are you denying me? How dare you deny all of this? How dare you disrespect and or deny what I'm trying to throw in your face right now? Then had the audacity to call that man gay. Like, what are you, gay or something? Like, you don't like women? Because you must not like women if you don't like me. Right? Now, I don't need to go into the opposite perspective that was presented as a guy approaching a woman on the street in somewhat of an aggressive manner, because I think you guys can pretty much connect the dots on how that played out. But what I'm trying to get to is this. If the preferences that you like in a woman do not align to what a lot of these women, especially ones in the West, are akin to, or it doesn't look like them, or it doesn't represent them, you can guarantee they're going to have a problem with it. Guys are not allowed to have preferences. Now, I will say this. When it comes to whether you choose to date BBWs, the big women, or it chooses to date skinnier women, oh my God. In the West, I'd be damned if you try to fat shame a young lady here. Don't you dare. You want to be dragged through the mud. You want to be canceled before you have a chance to do anything in life. Even if you don't have something that's popular or it's like a YouTube channel or whatever, you have a preference that you say you prefer to date women that are a little bit of a smaller frame than, another type of woman, and you do a comparison. And most of the times, for some reason, Lizzo seems to be the standard for a particular group of young ladies that, guys compare women to. All of a sudden, you fat shaming, right? But I used to be a big dude my damn self, a little bit bigger than I am right now. And I ain't got it all together, but I'm trying, right? But do you think that anybody gave a fuck when a woman called me fat? Do you think they give a fuck about calling a guy obese, right? Talking about how fat he is. Look at him, roly-poly this. How dare you try to approach me, man? You need to go hit the gym before you try to hit on me and shit. You know what it is. You know what it is. We could be every name in the book, like my man says, every name in the book but a man when you have a preference that doesn't align with theirs. But in reality, I think that at this moment, the way that I see it and the way the movement is moving, now we are in a position where guys can have an opinion. And it's a damn shame that we got to fight to have an opinion. I never thought in a million years I would be scared to share with people my thoughts on what I like and what I desire. Now, here's the thing about me, and here's the thing that I want all of my brethren to understand. Doc does not specifically exclusively date Asian, right? And if you ask me would I ever date a black woman, the answer is absolutely. Why? Because there are women in Jamaica, Africa, those other Caribbean islands, Trinidad and Tobago, they all are dark. Well, I won't say all of them, but these are women that if you go to these particular country, there are young ladies that are of a darker skin complexion. So to say that, just because my wife is Asian, that I wouldn't date any other race, that's not true. And, you have people who will say that shit. And I'm like, bro, that just don't make sense. I spent 10 years of my time in the country. I became accustomed to my environment. I enjoyed my environment. I happened to find somebody that I connected with. Didn't matter where the fuck she came from. She just happened to be in the same place that I was. We connected. We had a good vibe. Spent a lot of time together. And after a while, it gets to the point where you're like, yo, this could be somebody that could potentially be a wife. Now, again, I know that the majority of my audience isn't down to get married, and I'm not sitting here telling you that you got to, okay? You do you. But when it comes down to your preference, what you like, who you enjoy, you can't help what you like. The problem is people are trying to force feed a lot of, I don't want to call it misinformation, but they're definitely trying to force us to like things that we don't like. And if we don't like them, you're the bad guy, you're fat phobic, you're transphobic, you're this. Like, I'm not trying to get into it, but you get it, right? If you don't align with what they say, you're not necessarily the good guy, right? Not knowing that probably a high percentage or a high majority of people will actually agree with what you say as opposed to disagree with what you say. But then again, like I said, man, I love the world that we're living in right now because it does give you a chance to analyze how quickly people can be manipulated. It does give you an opportunity to see how quick people are to fall into certain narratives and stereotypes and, get you on board with and get you off of board with certain things based off of what's being pushed in the media and the propaganda and all that shit, the fake news, whatever you want to call it. I like it because I'm always on the outside looking in like, damn, this is really where we are now. And it all deals and comes down to the root of it all, having a preference, right? Now, again, I don't agree with shunning a whole group of people because of one bad experience with one particular young lady. Don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with basically lumping in all women into something that you've seen perpetrate or, perpetuated in news and media and social and all that shit. Unfortunately, a lot of us seem to be in places where in what is perpetuated in the socials, what's perpetuated on the news and in the media, it just so happens to play itself out in front of our very eyes in real time. So as a result, what we see is kind of what we're getting, right? It's not necessarily what we asked for, but what we see is what we get. And when we get that, guess what? You got to choke on it and swallow it, right? Because that's what they want us to do. They want to force feed that shit down our throats. Like, yo, this is what you have to like. This is what you better like. If you don't like it, they'll cancel you. Look at your boy, Andrew Tate. Anyways, I'm not going that far. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, 12 of us in the building, man. I appreciate you guys locking in. Appreciate you guys spending some time with the good doc. If you haven't already, guys, make sure you drop your like. Appreciate you coming through. Definitely caress, molest, and distress yourself all over that like button. It wants and needs and most definitely has to have it. If you guys want to support in any capacity, please feel free to do so. But like I said, man, happy and blessed y'all choose to come through. Spend a little bit of time with the boy today. Now you're then. My man Red, what's up with you, bro? Sometimes they need the smoke, man. But it's unfortunate that we're not allowed to have a preference. I think it's funny as hell. And I think that any guy who does choose to travel is basically telling everybody, look, this is my preference. This is what I like. I prefer to travel. I prefer foreign. I prefer dating women that don't necessarily come from the Western world. And let me make sure I say this because you do have some young ladies that try to perpetuate themselves as exotic, but they grew up in California or they grew up in Massachusetts. I know a lot of young ladies that are Latina, but they grew up in places like Oklahoma and Texas or right here in the great state of North Kakalaki. And I'm thinking to myself, baby, you not foreign. That's not how this works. That's not how this rolls. This is not how it goes, right? If I'm a date foreign, I'm a date women that come from these particular countries, right? From the particular countries. Not somebody who has relatives that came from this particular country and planted here, but you grew up here. You feel me? So ladies and gentlemen, that's kind of where I'm going tonight, man. But I appreciate you guys locking in. Give me 1 second. I got to take care of something. I'll be right back. All right, my bad, y'all. Anyways, like I said, man, tonight's that night. All right, tonight is that night. My man says, I find it equally racist when a chick says she likes brothers because we got BBC. Wow. You know, I can't lie to you. I've told you guys this time and time again. Am I ashamed of it? Absolutely not. Am I ashamed of it? No, and I never will be. This is what I will say, though. I have played into the narrative before. I'm guilty of it. Fuck it. When you have certain advantages in the world, ladies and gentlemen, I say use it to your advantage. I can't be mad at that. I've made 2 or 3 videos that kind of have talked about that particular talking point. One of them was probably one of my top rated videos ever. It didn't get a lot of views, but it got enough views on the particular topic. But in reality, I played into it. But if that's the only reason they rock with you, or that's the only reason they dealing with you, I gotta admit, man, it's not a good look for us. Unless you're not looking for anything serious. Unless you're not looking for anything serious and you're just there to hook up. I say I wouldn't let it get to you, right? I wouldn't let it bother you none the least. And the reason I wouldn't let it bother me is because, hey, man, if that's what's gonna get my foot in the door, or you penetrate something else, whatever it may be, I would say that you could use that to your advantage. But if that's the only reason, if you're really trying to get into something meaningful, it's probably not the best way to go about it. But again, if you about that life, I mean, shit, use it to your advantage, man. But if you really looking for something positive and that's the way she coming at you, guess what? She'll take any meat that comes her fucking direction. She'll take any dark meat that comes her direction. And that's not always the best look, ladies and gentlemen. That is not always the best look. Shout out to my boy Leroy. What's up with you, pimpin'? Passport gang in the building. Appreciate y'all rocking. Shout out to my brother Derek. Appreciate you coming through, bro. But you know what it is, man. You know exactly what it is. It's a shame when a man can't have a preference. It's a shame when they try to tell you, hey, man, how dare you not like somebody like me? Right? How dare you not like somebody like me? Oh, no, man. So my man says Team Asian. Preferences, that's what's up. He says that's my preference. He says been attracted to the look since I was a child. I don't put them on a pedestal though. True. The first girl I ever liked, like really liked, she was Japanese too. So I mean, I guess this is something that's always been in me. I guess. I mean, I'm grown now, and I still find Asian women to be attractive. So I guess that's where it started for myself. 3rd grade for me. So hey, man, your preferences are your preferences, bro. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Like I said, man, you should never be shamed for who the fuck you like. I do believe that you should avoid stereotypes, generalizations, and borderline racism when you definitely tell people why you don't necessarily prefer dating a specific type of young lady. Either way you say it, though, even if you tell somebody you don't like dating these types of women, there's always going to be somebody that has a problem with it, right? And to call a spade and to keep it fair, ladies and gentlemen, if somebody says, oh, I don't date black guys, I can tell you the truth. I'd feel a way about it because I don't believe there's a legit reason why you could shun away all black men, but I would have to respect it. You feel me? You would have to respect it. If they said, yo, man, I don't date black guys because of this, and this, they may say some really stereotypical racist shit. Oh, they're ghetto this, they get into trouble. They're the worst of the worst. They always get locked up, going to jail, making women or getting women pregnant and not taking care of the kids. I've heard it all, ladies and gentlemen. I have heard everything under the sun as to why these people don't fuck with black guys. And yes, it hurts. I ain't gonna cap. It doesn't bother me as much, but I've heard it. And I think you guys have heard it too. This shit ain't brand new. We ain't acting like we're over here divulging certain parts of the world or certain types of information that haven't been talked about before. This ain't brand new. This conversation been about. People have been about this conversation. And yes, you have to admit that it hurts, but I think that as a man, we are just more adept to just letting the shit go. Now, there are a couple of us. Let's keep it real. There are a couple of us that won't let it slide. They got to clap back, right? It's automatic. It's an automatic clap back when they say they don't like dating and or messing with somebody who may look like me. Some people have to have the automatic clap back. And when they clap back, man, they unload the clip. Oh, well, you dusty, you come on, man. I mean, but at the end of the day, you can't help why people like who they like or why they don't like who they like. Yes, is it stereotypic, generalized, and probably borderline racist, the type of shit that they say? Absolutely. Is it anything that you're going to change? Probably not, right? So we got to let it go. But like I said, man, from a woman's perspective, man, they will drag your ass on TikTok. They will take you to Instagram. They're going to take you to YouTube, do a video reaction. They're going to tell you all kinds of shit about what's wrong with you as the individual, and how dare you get mad because they don't like your type of girl, or that you don't like a type of girl that looks like them. As a matter of fact, let me give you an example. I don't know if you guys ever saw this TikTok video. It just recently came out, but there was a guy that made a TikTok video that showed his dating preferences for like 50 states. It was this white guy sitting in his truck. I mean, I've seen the reactions to that particular video. That's why I'm talking about it now. But there was a reaction to this white guy who was showing all the girls in all the 50 states that he either dated or had a preference for. I can't remember. And they just happened to all be white. Let's just go ahead and skip to the end. The final climax, all of them were white. And I think most people had the biggest issue with the girl that was supposed to represent Hawaii, right? So apparently the girl that was representative of the state of Hawaii for the girl that he liked was some blonde-haired, blue-eyed young lady that happened to live in Hawaii. And everybody was like, oh, look at you. Oh, you mean to tell me you're going to get the blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl that lives in Hawaii? Oh, you're not going to get the tan-skinned young ladies that, that are traditional Hawaiian and shit like that. People had an issue with his preference. And they took him through the cleaners. Probably got him a lot of fucking views, though. I hope that he capitalized on them views because they was trying to drag him. And I don't think he was fazed by it. And I doubt he would apologize. But at the end of the day, no matter what, people are going to drag you for your preference. If you go somewhere and you like somebody that doesn't look like them, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to drag you for not liking them. It's an ego thing, emotional thing. I don't know, man. It's just a thing in general. But ultimately, if you want to know the truth, man, I think sometimes it's just better to keep your preferences to yourself, right? Sometimes it's just better to keep your preferences to yourself. And the reason I say that is because sometimes you can't win. No, most of the time you can't win, right? If you deny a young lady, right, just not interested in her, there's going to be the why question. Oh, what's wrong? It's not necessarily what's wrong with me, but basically they asking what's wrong with me, right? What did I do wrong? Or what is it about myself? This is this deep-seated issues that most of these young ladies go through. And to an extent, y'all, it's the greatest master plan of them all to play into it. But again, that's like that dark psychology shit that I don't like to talk about, but you know it if you know it. Wherein if you play on a woman's emotions, like she could be the most beautiful thing you ever seen, but you treat her like shit. Or you kind of like, dismiss her. And she's always been told she was beautiful her whole life, but you just kind of treat her like she's fucking average. Yeah, it's the same shit. And y'all know where I'm going with this. That's why I don't need to go into the conversation. But in reality, that's playing on the emotions. But it don't necessarily mean that you don't really rock with her like that. But sometimes it does mean that that's just not your preference, right? And some girls just can't take the fact of being rejected, right? I get it. I've been rejected quite a few times, y'all. I've been told no so many times, man. It's become it's become second nature. And I'm cool with that. Hey, man, you ain't gonna be every girl's preference. Me, being a black man, being an African-American gentleman in the Philippines, you would think that I would have every girl just fucking falling at my fucking feet. No. As a Caucasian male, you would think that every girl that you come across in the Philippines is gonna fall at your feet. No, it don't work that way. Let's be realistic. Not every girl you rock with is gonna rock with you the exact same way, right? Don't matter if it's a third world country or not. You are not gonna be every girl's type. Okay, we are not going to be every girl's type. Black men, Caucasian men, Asian men, those Koreans though. Let me stop. I think they got a stronghold on the market though. I'm gonna call it real, because I know black girls, I know white girls, I know Asian girls, I know a million girls that love them some Korean men because they just look away. They are probably the most widely accepted group of guys on earth. Tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, I think white guys come second. If I'm being fair, it would be the Korean guys, then it'll be the white dudes that are like the most widely accepted race of men on the planet. Now I'm just talking shit, okay? I don't necessarily mean that I'm feeling away because somebody else has preference over me or somebody gets the girl because the girl liked them before they like me. It's okay, because I believe in the abundance mindset, ladies and gentlemen. I'm married now. Let's make sure I say that shit because I don't want nobody to get it twisted. But I believed in the abundance mindset. If one girl didn't like me, fuck it. I'm probably sure there's a couple over here that probably would accept me for who the fuck I am. So when you believe in the abundance mindset, ladies and gentlemen, there's no way that you can get shut the fuck down. Period. You just can't. It's impossible for you to try to holler at 100 girls and you get denied by all 100. That data just don't add up, right? Even if you only got 10 out of the 100 girls you tried to talk to, you still got 10 girls, right? So for me, if you believe in the abundance mindset, yeah, maybe those other 90 didn't rock with you for whatever reason or whatnot. You just weren't that type. Let's just keep it at that. Okay, there's still 10 other girls that say, yo, I'm willing to fuck with you. And yo, you kind of hone in and you rock with that 10. That's all I'm saying. Because when it comes down to preference, ladies and gentlemen, who really gives a shit? You like who you like. You love who you love, right? I just think that us as men, at the place that we are in our lives right now, ladies and gentlemen, we should be able to stand up and say, fuck it, man. This is what I like. And if it don't really fall along the same lines of what these people are telling us that we should like, hey, man, shit, go on about your business then. We just go keep it pushing. That's all. And I'm just reading comments, guys. Give me a split. I'm just going through it. Let me check shit. Sorry. Anyways, like I was saying until I rudely interrupted myself, that's just where I'm at in my life right now. And I think a lot of us are at that particular stage as well. Right? I see you guys in the building, man. Appreciate you guys locking in. If you haven't already dropped your like, man, y'all make sure y'all drop that like. Make sure y'all caress, molest, and de-stress yourself all over that like button. It wants it, needs it, most definitely has to have it. If you guys want to support in any capacity, if you guys are enjoying the content tonight, you want to throw a couple dollars on the Good Docs books, please feel free to do so. But like I said, man, happy and blessed you guys are here to participate in this conversation, because I think that we need to have what Andrew Tate used to have, the emergency meeting. Sometimes we just need to come through and have a politic conversation with one another to get it off our chest. Because at the end of the day, preferences are what they're going to be. You got to be able to find a safe space, right? Everybody preaching that safe space shit. Call the Dr. Mike TV channel the safe space, right? Because you can say whatever the fuck you want to over here. You probably won't be censored. Not for me, at least, right? But y'all just make sure you keep it classy. Appreciate it. So my brother, I think he's out. Appreciate you coming through, dropping your like. If you haven't dropped your like, guys, make sure y'all drop your like. Shout out to my brother Kyle. What's up with you, man? He says, my mom and I bump heads on this. She don't get it. It's the truth, bro. If you expect a woman in any capacity, even mom, see, the thing about my mom's amazing, right? Because my mom is the type of person, love who you love. She's had that mentality forever, right? She's like, as long as you're with somebody who treats you right and treats you good, I don't care who the fuck it is, right? She's just one of those types of people. And I like that. right? She's never really tried to interfere or intervene in my relationships. I never had many, but she never really got into them like that. And I like that. My mom's just cool. She's like, as long as you're happy, I'm happy for you. But sometimes you do have mothers that will be like, yo, if you not dating a black woman, don't bring no other race of woman home and shit. Like, really? You gonna shit on me and shun me and blacklist me from my own family because of who I choose to date or who I choose to rock with or what I like? You gonna really? Like, that's what's gonna break the family. The fact that I choose to bring if you bring a white girl home, that's the conversational piece. But because I bring home an Asian lady or a Latina or something like that, I mean, I don't know. That's just the way of the world, ladies and gentlemen. And sometimes your own family will be there to kind of shit on you, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? Your own family will be the reason, will basically force you to travel 90% of the time because they want to tell you everything that you can't do, everything that you won't do, because you're stuck here, you doing this, and you doing that, and you'll never make it or you'll never be anything. You got people who have that particular mindset, or people in your life that preach that particular mindset or instill that shit in your mind, outside looking in type shit, try to tell you what you ain't gonna be. Those are the type of people I fucking run away from. You feel me? And it sucks. It sucks that it's your mom. If it's a cousin, a brother, or a sister, fuck them, right? Let's keep it real. Brothers, cousins, sisters, if they don't rock with your thought process, you can just say fuck them. But your mom is somebody you just can't say fuck, just fuck, get rid of them. You can't really say that to moms, right? Because that's your mother. And I have a great relationship with my mom, and I pray that a lot of you guys have great relationships with your mother too, right? So you can't really just shun her because of what she feels about who you choose to date. But in reality, man, if they're not on your accord, if they're not on the same accord with you, man, that's tough for you. That's a hard pill to swallow, right? And when moms don't get it, that's a tough one. Eventually, she ain't got no choice but to get on the same page with you, let you go. Sometimes they just let you go. Leroy, man, a lot of them have become Americanized. I would be very skeptical to date a Filipina that grew up in the United States. Probably wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. I would be very skeptical of a young lady if I met her in the United States. If she's been in the United States for years and I start to hear the lingo and the way that she's talking and her English is too perfect, she ain't got little broken English in there, I'm fucking with y'all, but you get the point. I'm kind of suspect because I'm like, yo, you not really that fresh off the boat shit that I like, right? A young lady that has that traditional Filipino lifestyle, that traditional Filipino type. You know what it is. If you've been to the Philippines, you know what I'm talking about. But it becomes difficult to try to deal with young ladies that grew up here. As a matter of fact, most of us shun them away. The reason we shun them away is because there's no winning with a lot of them. And sometimes it's just not worth the headache, gentlemen. It's just not worth the headache. Chosen One, what's up with you, man? He said, Dr. Mind making me mad, and I don't know why. You know why you don't like me, bro? I think you don't like the collared shirts, man, but I love you, man. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Y'all, like I said, man, it's a safe space. I ain't gonna block you. You're fine. Anyways, 11 of y'all, man, if you haven't dropped your like, drop your like. He says there's a lot of positives dating abroad. Far more positives than negative, in my opinion. For myself and for the majority of men that I know in my life, ladies and gentlemen, there are far more positives than negatives when you choose to date abroad. I was blessed enough that I had the opportunity to get abroad because, my dad was military. I'm cool with that. I accept that. And that's probably one of the things I need to thank him more for anything that I'm sure I have thanked him. And, being a dad is a thankless job, I know, but he knows I love him. But, that's one of the things I really appreciate about him. He took his sons abroad. I don't know if I have talked to you guys about this, but I never really, did I go into details? There's not really a lot of detail to go into it, but let me explain to you a little bit. All right. So a little bit about my life. My first ever overseas experience was Japan when I was in 3rd grade. Okay. First time I ever been overseas. That's when I fell in love with my little Asian Japanese classmate. I remember her name until this day. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Right. So when my parents did separate, they are divorced. I moved back to the United States. My brother stayed with my dad in Japan. And then eventually dad ends up moving back to Las Vegas, California, Hawaii. He stayed in those areas there. I would visit over the summertime when he was back in the States, pretty much what it is, right? So fast forward. My brother moves here to Carolina with us, stays with us, and the minute he graduates from high school, he moves over to the Philippines with my dad, right? My brother was a year ahead of me in high school. 2 years. 1 year. 1 year or 2 years, I forgot. Anyways, so we had this conversation, right? My dad, he was like, yo, I want my sons over here with me to experience this. Like in his mind, he was thinking that shit. In his mind, he was like, yo, I want my sons here to experience this, to experience what I'm experiencing right now. Now, keep in mind, my dad is married to my stepmom, good peoples, right? They're married, but and my stepmom's Filipina, and I think he came to the Philippines first. Like, I think he visited the Philippines without her one time. I can't remember how that fell out. But anyways, case in point is when my dad came to the Philippines by himself, he came to his sons and he's like, yo, I gotta bring this to my sons. I have to let my sons experience this shit. So when my brother graduated from high school, I think, nope, you know what happened? He stayed for roughly about a year in the US after graduating high school before he officially moved. So that's why I was off on my time. So it was officially 2 years, but he stayed in the US for a little bit before he actually went over to the Philippines. And then after I graduated high school, I visited there my junior year of high school, which was fucking awesome. Best experience of my life. And then after I graduated high school, my dad he was like, son, he's like, do you want to study over here? Yes or no? I said, hell yeah. My whole senior year, I ain't looking nobody. I ain't touch nobody. Ain't want nothing to do with nothing because I already knew my ass was going to the Philippines. You feel me? Right? So, like I said, my overseas experience or what brought me abroad, my dad, his military career. What kept my brother overseas was his military tenure, right? My brother did at least 10, 11 years in there. And ever since then, he spent a lot more time in Japan. And he also went back to Korea as well. So, my family, we've all kind of had this thing about overseas life. And I think that it all started with the experience of being able to travel abroad, right? And I do believe, and I say it time and time again, guys, your travel abroad will be your most profound experience. Whether it's an experience that says, yo, I got to keep doing this shit, or if your experience is, yo, this shit sucks. Let me take my ass back to my home country. But I tell you right now, not a lot of guys have said, I have never in my lifetime heard a guy ever say that shit. If they've ever been to any country abroad, whether it be your DRs, your Colombias, and places like that, cool. Never heard a man say, I ain't never going back there, right? If it's Asian countries, your Thailands, your Japans, your Philippines, I ain't never heard a man say, yo, I ain't never coming back to this place unless they get kicked out for doing dumb shit, right? So for me, it's profound, positive or negative, right? But at least you got the experience. That's why I encourage travel, right? It's all about the experience, gentlemen. But yeah, he says, I left my relatives behind, which you have to. He said, I'd be able to have anything with them in the mix. Or you say you wouldn't be able to? He said, telling me what I need is okay, got it. So you're saying that these relatives in your life, you wouldn't be able to have anything that you actually want because they will always be telling you that you should be dating a good black woman. We're going to drink to that one, my boy. That's a good one, man. That is a great one. And the reason it's so great is because you are not the first, nor will you be the last person to ever hear that one. Right? The problem is there's a lot of digging through and sifting through that I don't think a lot of guys really feel like doing because they felt like they've already done it before, right? Once you've been through it, once you tried it already and it didn't work out, why am I going to sit there and try to wait for that when I could go overseas and probably get something a whole lot quicker? With damn near everything that I'm looking for, ticks off every damn box I need her to. Why do I feel like I got to wait 10 years, 15 years, 20 years to find that with a woman in the West? Because they do exist, ladies and gentlemen. Don't ever sit there and let anybody tell you otherwise. Good women do exist in the U.S. Good women do exist in the Western world. Good women do exist in the Matrix. I know Doc is talking blasphemy. Doc, I don't know where the fuck you got this from, but you don't lost your mind. There are good ones. The problem is there's a lot of sifting through bullshit that it's just beyond belief. The games are crazy. Nobody wants to play them. And you have to do a lot of jumping through hurdles and hoops and shit to get to that. Nobody on earth, no man should have to work that hard to get to it. But that's what you have to do to find exactly what you're looking for when you can go abroad. I can tell you right now, find exactly what you're looking for in very little time. That's all I'm gonna say. Anybody who knows. That's all I'm gonna tell you. I don't have to spell it out for you. If you know, then you know. Right? He says, I love all the ladies, but tiny short women drive them crazy. Filipino women have what I desire. The petite, kind of payat, which means very thin frames. A lot of guys are into that shit. Hey, you are allowed to have your preference, my brother. Shout out to my brother Robert. What's up with you, Maximus? I see you guys in the building. Not going to hold you on very long. Just wanted to have this conversation, get a lot of shit off my chest. I will keep you guys pushing, right? Native Hawaiian women usually stick to their own because of the culture. That's not a bad way of looking at it. When that video came out, everybody was just criticizing his preference or criticizing the young lady he dated from Hawaii, not necessarily taking into consideration that maybe, just maybe, the traditional young ladies from that particular area may not date white guys or may not date black guys. They just stick to their own. And that is kind of the way it works in a lot of countries. I mean, in your Latin American countries, of course, DR, Colombia, Brazil, of course, there's a lot of interracial dating. Philippines, Japan, Thailand, a lot of interracial dating. China, not so much. In the Middle East, practically never. Okay? So there are places and plots and countries and continents on the world as we speak that don't really take acceptance of interracial relationships and couples and dating. You'll find that probably more often in the Middle East than any other place in the world. Those local women that are in Qatar, the UAE, Oman, Kuwait, Brunei, and places like that, chances are they're not looking at your American ass. They don't care about your foreign ass, man. They're going to date their own. And that's cool. And I think that's just the way the culture is, and I respect that. Whether you like the way they treat their women or not, I'm not one to really jump into that because that's not my place. You gotta be real, man. They have their women in check. I'm sorry to say it that way. Again, not my place, but they got their women in check. Whether I hope it's not through violence, but again, not my place. But you get where I'm coming from when I say what I say. Right? It gets a little reckless as we start moving further west, right? Anyways, guys, I see a lot of y'all in the building, man. 11 of y'all right now. Appreciate you locking in. If you haven't already dropped your like, make sure you drop your like. Doc would highly appreciate that one. Again, if you guys want to support in any capacity, please feel free to do so. But like I said, man, the conversation is good enough for me tonight. All right? My man Derek says, women will want to get with you more for telling them no. Exactly. That dark mindset. Y'all know the dark psychology of it all. You could be the ugliest motherfucker on planet Earth. But if you deny a girl or you don't give them any attention or you start to give them attention, you take that attention away, women have a tendency to fight for the attention. That is kind of rule book 101 type shit. Like, for real. It truly is. And if you play it the right way, women do tend to vie for the attention of guys, especially if the guy is not giving them the attention. Or maybe this girl thought that you was ugly as hell, but because you're dating someone that she's comparing herself to, and she believes that girl is a lot more prettier or a lot more attractive than she is, when she does that one-on-one scale-up comparison between you and and her being a potential prospect, now all of a sudden she wants you because you can get with a girl that looks better than her. And I'm not spitting anything that you guys don't know. But if you don't know, now you know. I ain't gonna do the Biggie Smalls, but y'all get it. Shout out to my brother, Mr. Diaz, man. Appreciate the $10 spot, bro. Appreciate you, my boy. Appreciate you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I told you I didn't want to hold you on very long. It's been about close to an hour, about 50 minutes in. Like I said, I appreciate you guys locking in. I appreciate you guys listening in. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you have chosen to spend your time with the boy today. And I fucks with that. It's a lonely Thursday evening, right? Y'all could have been doing anything. It's not a Friday spot. I may come on Friday. I doubt it. But, you know, the weather's supposed to get bad here in Carolina, guys. There's a little hurricane coming through. I think it's Irma, Ira, something like that. I forgot. But anyways, it could get a little nasty. So who knows how the internet check will be tomorrow. But that's why I wanted to come through and politic with my gentleman tonight. I appreciate you guys locking in. To all of my silent partners, you know who you are. The ones that sit in the background and just listen to the good vibes from the good doc. I appreciate you, right? My channel doesn't exist without you guys, right? You don't know how helpful you are to the channel, right? To all of my brethren who participate in the chat, keep the good doc on his toes. I appreciate you guys locking in. Y'all be the ones. Y'all be the ones. Y'all know who y'all are, right? And I got none but love for you, baby. I truly do. All right, ladies and gentlemen. It has been fun. It has been real, but y'all know what time it is. Time for the good doc to go and get to get. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, good doc is officially out. At least Nako, which means I am going down. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Sincerely do. Makita. Bye-bye. Peace.